Come closer tonight. I'd like to tell you about an old man who carried the same sorrow for 77 years. Every evening, as the sun disappeared behind the mountains, he would sit alone, take an old wooden instrument into his hands, and play the very same melody. The children grew up listening to it. Their children heard it too. Yet no one knew why. Some believed the old man had forgotten the reason himself. Others whispered that the melody belonged to someone who had never returned. But the truth was known only by one man. And for 77 long years, he never spoke a single word about it. Until one unforgettable night. We were crossing the mountains when the storm arrived. Rain poured as if the sky itself had broken apart. Lightning split the darkness. Thunder shook the earth beneath our feet. There was no road, no shelter, no way forward. So we gathered beneath a rocky cliff waiting for the storm to pass. No one spoke for a long time. Then someone laughed quietly. A long road, he said, always feels shorter when someone tells a story. Another traveler nodded. And perhaps a good story can even silence the thunder. We all smiled. Only the old man remained silent. His silver beard moved gently in the cold wind. His eyes never left the darkness. It was as though he wasn't watching the storm, but remembering another night. Finally, I gathered my courage. Father, I asked softly, would you tell us your story? For a long moment he said nothing. Only the rain answered. Then very slowly, he raised his head. A faint smile crossed his weathered face. Very well, he whispered. If this storm has stopped our journey, perhaps it is time to end my silence as well. He looked toward the mountains hidden behind the rain. Then he took one slow breath and quietly said words I have never forgotten. 77 years ago, I was only 16. I was 16, the old man began, young enough to believe that every road always led home. It was the height of summer. The mountains were alive. Endless green meadows, wildflowers, horses grazing peacefully, and the fresh scent of the earth. After morning dew, I had been traveling alone since sunrise. My horse was tired. So was I. I had eaten nothing since the day before. Then from the top of a ridge I noticed smoke rising into the sky. A village. Relief filled my heart. In those days a traveler was never turned away. Before I could even dismount, a young man hurried over smiling and gently took my horse. An elderly village elder welcomed me with kindness. But something immediately caught my attention. Beside him rested an old wooden instrument. Its polished surface carried the marks of countless years. Without saying another word, the old man placed his fingers upon the strings. Then he began to play. I had heard many beautiful melodies in my life, but never one like this. It sounded as though someone's entire life had been poured into music. Every note carried longing. Every pause carried regret. When the melody ended, silence filled the air. No one applauded. No one spoke. As if everyone already knew that some questions should never be asked. But I was young. Curiosity is stronger than caution in the heart of every 16-year-old. I bowed respectfully and asked, "Father, what is the name of that melody?" The old man looked at me. Then, without answering, he lowered his eyes and played the same melody once again. Later that evening I quietly asked another villager. He smiled sadly. "No one knows," he whispered. "He has played that same melody for longer than any of us can remember. Many have asked, he has never answered." That night, as I lay awake listening to the distant melody, I made myself a promise. Before I left that village, I would learn the truth hidden inside that song. The next morning, I left the village before sunrise. The air was cool. A light mist still covered the valley. I followed a narrow trail leading through the mountains. My horse walked calmly. Everything seemed peaceful, until I heard another horse. Hoofbeats fast, getting closer. Before I could even turn, a powerful hand grabbed me. I was lifted from my saddle as if I weighed nothing. The rider wore a dark red cloak. His horse was magnificent, strong, fearless. I tried to break free. "Please," I cried. "Where are you taking me?" The stranger didn't even look at me. "Be quiet," he said. "If you shout again, you'll regret it." His voice was cold. My heart pounded so hard I could barely breathe. We rode the entire day. When night came, we stopped only long enough to eat. He spoke almost nothing. I stopped asking questions. Fear had stolen every word. The next day, another village appeared on the horizon. It was larger, richer, stranger. The man stopped beside a small house. Before I understood what was happening, he pushed me forward. "Take him," he said. "He's yours now." And without looking back, he disappeared. I stood there alone, frightened, confused, wondering if I would ever see my home again. They led me into a small house. An old woman with kind, tired eyes looked at me for a long time. Then she sighed. Somewhere, she whispered, there is a mother whose heart is breaking because her son never came home. She gently placed her hand on my head. Eat, child. No one should cry on an empty stomach. I wanted to ask what had happened, but the words would not come. That night I learned what fear truly felt like. People came to look at me. Some were curious. Some pitied me. No one explained why I was there. Before sunrise the next morning, I heard soft footsteps. I opened my eyes. Standing before me was a young woman. She couldn't have been much older than I was. Her face was calm, but her eyes carried quiet strength. She smiled. "What's your name?" she asked. "Zalik." She repeated it softly. "Zalik, a beautiful name." She looked at me for a moment. Then she said words that I never forgot. "From today, you will stay close to me. You are not my servant. You are my younger brother." For the first time since I had been taken, I felt a little hope. Later that day, an older servant quietly called me aside. He looked around to make sure no one could hear. Then he spoke in a whisper. "Do you know why you are here?" I slowly shook my head. The old servant lowered his eyes. "You were stolen," he said. "Not because of anything you did. You were brought here as part of a marriage payment. You are no longer free. You are a slave." The world around me suddenly became silent. I could no longer hear the wind or the birds, only the sound of my own heartbeat. That evening, I looked toward the distant mountains. Somewhere beyond them, my parents were still waiting for a son who would never come home. Or so they believed. But that was only the beginning, because I had not yet learned who Urk really was. And I had no idea that one day she would risk everything to give me back my freedom.